Konnichiwa, welcome to my channel. Oh my gosh, it has been a minute, right, guys? Yeah, I haven't posted for a while. Liane, I'm sorry for that, guys. But yeah, it has been quite a busy time. Like just trying to catch my breath and trying to find time to actually make videos and actually to try and make videos that actually I want to make, because I think I've been going through that and just trying to figure out what kind of videos I want to be making. And it's not that I haven't been making any videos. I have been recording some clips. I made like clips about zombie apocalypse, a clip about surviving traffic and road rules and all that stuff, which is basically me ranting about things that people do on the roads. But I don't know, I just didn't feel like posting any of them because they didn't feel very relevant at that time. So, why am I posting this then today? Because I'm catching up. And well, I think I have a slight idea of what I want to be posting, and which will mostly be real talk, I guess. And yeah, that will be most of the direction of the channel. And whoever wants to hear Slee's views and opinions, then they will come and listen. And if you disagree, you'll disagree, and if you agree, you agree. Such is life. What can we say? Yeah. So, what caused me to post today? So today, had a little bit of heated argument on YouTube. Not very heated, but prior to that argument, I was actually watching the Red Table, and they were talking about the Asian on Black on Asian crimes and the violence that has been happening in the USA post COVID, and basically has worsened out, and basically trying to find out where the animosity started. And me watching that sort of kind of makes sense, because if you guys know me, you know I am in love with Asian culture, all the different cultures, and I am intrigued and want to learn more and more about them. But that doesn't go to say that I don't have as many Asian friends, because well, I live in South Africa and I'm not very exposed to a lot of Asian people, and there's not quite a lot of Asian people in my country. But the friends that I have that I've met online, I could count them on my one hand. And so it was quite an interesting topic. And I think they sort of kind of handled it very well to try and get the different races' perspective and to understand where they are in this time and what they're feeling, because we cannot disqualify the individual's feelings, and also disqualify what they feel is the reason this is happening. And if we are to have such very heated conversations, we need to be able to come out with a sense of healing post the conversation, to come up with pointers to help people start on a journey of understanding one another. And I feel like that was done so well for us to even understand the whole system and how it has worked against this whole time and event that is happening right now. So that basically sort of kind of made me realize more about the things that we take as our opinions and our views, because society has defined it for us, and the fact that we have allowed society and the individuals that we interact with form a foundation of us grouping the whole race because of that certain experience that we had with that specific race. For example, to say that if a black person mugged you, then and that experience that you had when you were mugged by a black person, then all of a sudden all black people are bad, they are all criminals, and they were all up to get you. And then you form this prejudice that every time when you see black people, your response is dependent on what happened with that initial incident. And that's sort of unfair. That's so unfair, because how do you judge one person's actions and you judge a whole millions of people under that same umbrella? That is prejudice, and that's basically what we are subconsciously doing. And the media is not helping, because it keeps on showing that narrative so that you will be convinced that that is it, and only to find out that sometimes the things that we have experienced are so small scaled to a point that you cannot equate it to a whole entire race. So this goes back to how we interact with white people, how you interact with Indians, how you interact with Chinese, Korean, Japanese, all East Asian people, how you interact with all the different races that we have in this world. And one thing that hit home was that, this conversation that people will say, oh no, but I don't see color. Why? Why don't you see color? Even a dog can see black and white. So what makes you feel that you cannot see color? And that whole statement does not make you not racist, but more and more worse is that it disqualifies the race that is that specific color, and it makes them feel unheard, not existent, and it just makes you feel like your issues are not as big as they actually are, and you are entitled to react to what you are experiencing. But when someone puts that sort of kind of takes your self-esteem, and that just breaks down your whole experience, which is also not good. So we need to come to a point when we actually acknowledge that we are all individuals and we're all different, and our differences, the who's the society, I guess, will be like how we interacted with each other in the past and everything else. We found the differences in each other, and instead of embracing the differences in each other, we decided to point out that you're different because you have dark skin and you have short curly hair. And we then use that to belittle people, to undermine them because of that specific feature that is their feature because of the race that they belong under. And that then sort of kind of went and rooted self-hate, and we started hating those elements of ourselves that have been pointed out that are different from the other races. The same way that you see with Asian people, you will see a majority of Asian people hate their eyes. No matter how beautiful I might personally feel their eyes are, but because people have made it a point to point out how different their eyes are, and how different that they don't have the double fold like our eyelids have, and that caused self-hate, that they started hating these different eyes that have caused them to be a minority, that people can be able to put them in a cluster and be able to use that to make them feel less than the rest, and that's then you see a lot of people trying to modify their eyes. You see a lot of black people who are trying to modify a skin tone, we're trying to modify a hair. Like, you grow up and you are told that your curly hair, my black kinky curly hair, is not beautiful enough, and then you're told you need to straighten it, and you go through the process of not loving your own hair. And then you grow up and you realize, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to take care of my hair, because I was taught that my hair is unruly, is uncool, my hair is not beautiful, it's not professional, and so I should always hide it, or I should always find ways to make it representable, not in its natural form, which has risen the whole natural hair, like this is my hair movement, which is a good thing, because then now slowly we are teaching our children that it is your hair. Yes, it's different. Yes, it is difficult, but it is difficult to manage because you were never taught how to manage it, And because of that, now we are slowly a generation that is appreciating our differences and standing firm in our differences to say, I acknowledge your straight hair. I acknowledge your light skin. I acknowledge your blue eyes. But my black eyes, my dark brown eyes, my dark brown hair, my black skin, my brown skin is also beautiful because it is mine. And there's no sense and no reason for me to compare different things because the whole reason there is that they are different. And because they're different, you cannot want to compare a potato and a carrot. For what reason are you comparing a potato and a carrot? Because it is a potato and a carrot, and that's how we should be seeing things. That's how we should be deciding. The same way we then turn to use this very unrealistic analogies, like how you say, well, I experienced this, and they say one rotten potato spoils the whole bag. Wait. Why are we even using rotten potatoes to define people? Like, one rotten potato will spoil the whole batch, but people are not rotten potatoes. And me standing in a group and being as rotten and maybe as racist and as rude I am doesn't now all of a sudden osmosis or diffuses to all the people around me, and they are all just rotten, and we are all just racist because we're just in the same place. So we need to stop using these things, because then if you start seeing the how ridiculous that is, then you will start realizing that it doesn't make sense using such examples to try and bring forth your argument when we are having these conversations, and then you would also then want to ask that if we are able to disqualify, we are able to decide that a whole race is bad because of the individualized experiences that we've had with a certain race, why is it that when one or the same race, one person in that race does something good, we do not adopt the same concept? Like, it's baffling that we are able to embrace evil but shun down good. The same way as the way media is doing it. They are portraying a narrative so that we can all always be in a system that divides us, a system that says there's someone better than the rest, a system of white supremacy. Like, and you don't even have to be white to be a player and to be an instiller of white supremacy. The mere fact of you thinking you are better than a certain person because of, and you start grouping people as you people, them, and you start separating yourself as a human and as humans, and you start seeing yourself as them, him, or them, and your whole conversation runs out and saying, well, they, when you only interacted with one person and all of a sudden it's they, then that's where we need to go. Okay, pause a little. Let me move back. Let me reassess. Let me see. How great it is when you are talking to someone different from you, and you can see that this person sees you for you and you see them for them, and you do not disqualify their opinions and they do not disqualify yours. You agree to agree or disagree on things, but that doesn't now all of a sudden set a standard to that race. That only sets a standard to that specific person that you're interacting with. So if I'm speaking to Sarah and Sarah says something, that doesn't mean that Sarah is a spokesperson for all white people or colored people or whoever. Sarah is a spokesperson for Sarah. Like, let's come back and just see things as they are, Because one thing, I mean, like, if this generation does not make it our responsibility to educate ourselves and to try and understand the differences that we have and the different people that we are living with more, and take a stance of humanity and love versus hate and blame and ignorance, it will never stop. And if we do not decide that this needs to stop with us, our kids will grow with that narrative, and our kids will grow up knowing that white privilege exists and still suffering under white privilege, knowing that micro racism still exists and macro racism at some points also still exists, you know. And we will teach a generation based on our hurt, and teaching out of hate instead of love, there's no way that will rip us like great fruits or whatsoever. But it will continuously continue with the cycle of discriminating against each other because we're different. I'm sure when God created us all different and declared that He has fearlessly and wonderfully made us, He made us different for a reason, and had He had joy in our differences. It must pain Him to see that now these differences have become weapons for us to terrorize one another, to spread hate amongst each other, to actually disqualify the other from the human race. And that is what we have constantly been doing. And that is a sad reality that we live in. And, you know, once we start seeing everyone is human and not thinking that, oh no, because they're different, then this and this and this and that. No, we don't even like, especially if we haven't even took the time to invest to actually try and understand the people, you know, then we really have no right, no right to judge a whole race based on individuals. Yes, racism still exists. Apartheid was bad. Slavery was disgusting. The Holocaust was disgusting. Lynching of Black, Asian people was more disgusting. The things that we have done to one another out of hate. And knowing that, you know, these things have a part of our history now. And if we can invest in learning about the bad history, shouldn't we also invest in learning about the good part of our history? The parts where we were united, the parts where we fought against the same struggle, the parts where we uplifted one another, the parts that we shared the same goals, you know, the parts where we basically saw each other as humans versus competitors to gain something in this the white supremacy way of life. Like, if we are to go back to that, what kind of life would we be living now? That's the question. And I hope that maybe as time goes, we will be more vocal and correcting one another, and in and not correcting out of hate and out of spite and out of belittling a person. But when we correct one another, it needs to be done in love. And when you are going to make a statement, also be open to hear the other person. Don't assume that you're hearing what they're saying, because sometimes we have an assumption like you are not necessarily listening to what the person is saying. You have decided that this is what they're saying. And whatever else they try and say, you and yourself, you've already decided that that's what you've heard. And which is basically a misrepresentation of the whole interaction, because you've already came in with a preconceived notion and idea of what this person is going to say when you relate with them. And what's the whole point then? If we all gotta have all these preconceived ways and say, oh yeah, that was so expected. That's how black people normally act out. Oh, that's so expected. That is so white of you, And you're like, Chincha? On 20? Like, really? Really, guys? Like, wow. And yeah, so yeah, that is me trying to say, I don't know, like my 2 cents of Stingila's opinion with this very huge topic that I will not be able to tackle on YouTube on my own. But hopefully that, when we start talking about these things, then we will remove the veil of ignorance and we can start interacting in a more civilized way and start seeing each other's views and try understanding each other's histories and also investing more than what the media decides to tell you about a certain race, because I think we have seen so much of how much media can be manipulated, that with algorithms of things even here on YouTube, and how the papers, the news decide to change narrative of things. I think we've all experienced sensationalism and we've experienced half truths, and we cannot let that shape our mindsets and how our thinking, because once we do that and we do not actually take the responsibility to actually try and seek out the real truth, then we really do not have the stance to stand on anything, because you are standing on someone's half truth and you are basing your whole entire reasoning and understanding of a different race based on what a group of people in a board meeting have decided. This is the narrative we're taking and this is what we want people to believe. And if you don't want to be that person that has a sheep mentality that goes north because you are being stayed north, but be that person to try and understand, why are we going north? Why not west? Why not south? Why not east? And who is leading me north? Like, why? Try question things, and the more you start questioning things, you open up a platform for you to start learning, to start understanding, to start researching on the certain topics that are affecting us in this day and age. We need to start talking, and we need to start talking, not fighting and not hating each other, but start talking. And as we continue conversing on these matters, we can start understanding one another and we can start loving each other the way we are and not how we expect people to be like, you know, and also and stop patronizing one another, because sometimes we think we know so much about something that because you've researched that you are now more qualified than those people of that specific race, that you have now better solutions for them. Like, humility. Like, still also remain humble and not think that, oh my gosh, you are the all knowing solution to everyone's problems. No, you're not. We are a hurt people. And by we, I'm saying everyone, humanity. We are a hurt people and we are hurting each other also. And because we are hurt and we are hurting each other, we are spreading traumatized, hurt individuals and putting them in our societies. And we are also raising kids with that same mentality. We are bringing forth generations that keep on hurting each other, that don't stand up for the next person as my brother and my sister because they look different. So I hope we will start loving ourselves and take the power back, take the self hate and change it to self love and love the things that the world has said they are not beautiful about you, because those are you. Like, that's you. And if the world still wants to continue saying you're not beautiful because of, then honestly, what else can you do? What else can you do except for just saying, okay, do you, boo? That doesn't change what I think about myself, and that doesn't define who I am and what defines me. You do not have the right to define me. You have no right to say things and expect me to react a certain way. No, I will choose how I react to the things that are around me, to the people that are around me, and that will not be dictated by anyone, anyone but myself. So, so let's be better, move in the right direction, and let's be love. Like I fell in love with this two words, this concept. Let's be love, because it is so loaded. It has so much in it, and it's simple, but it's not. It's simple and sounds easy, but it's not. It wants us to be conscious about the things that we say and the things that we do, to whom we're doing it, to why we're doing it, and also then ask yourself, would you also appreciate it done to you? If you can give answers to that, then you can basically act more civilized and more better, because whatever happens, you can direct it back to you. Be love. Thank you guys for joining me in this conversation. Yes, I sort of kind of sped through a whole lot of things, said quite a whole lot of things, but I hope that in whatever I've been saying, some things made sense to people. And if you have different views to it, you know what, you are entitled to your different views. And if your views are different, don't disqualify mine, and don't be mean about it. Like, I don't know why we want to be mean if you feel like you're disagreeing with a person's like opinions. Don't be mean about it. Mine, yours, that's it. That's it. So yeah, guys, thank you for joining me on my channel. I know it's been a while, and having to come back with a boom of a topic, like, oh my gosh. But I think this is where I will be heading. I will be trying to talk about very serious matters, and yeah. So, oh, there's my camera thing. Okay, guys. 안녕. 사랑해.